Hello everybody, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super card game video, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys the deck list for Jiren, the Ultimate Warrior. Now, I used this at my my locals this past weekend, and I want to go over the deck and show you guys everything that I have and my thoughts on it and Jiren as a leader. Of course, this deck is mainly from the newest set, the Tournament of Power. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. Let me know if you guys have any feedback or recommendations for the deck or anything like that in the comments down below. So Jiren, one of the more simple leaders you can actually run. He doesn't really do anything special. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though. Like, I really enjoy the fact that you can draw on both sides with this leader. It helps out a lot. I mean, on the unawakened side, you have to attack a opposing leader to get the draw. But nonetheless, again, a draw is a draw. And early game, it's not necessarily that big of a deal when you're just trying to poke a life out of the opponent. So I enjoy that. Let me go ahead and sleeve him back up, though. I did take the sleeve off just so there wasn't very much glare, so hopefully that's not something that persists here with the rest of the video. So in the theme for Jiren, the main finisher, you don't have to use him as a finisher, but the main finisher will actually be 3 of these. So Absolute Justice Jiren, he's a really good card. His conditions can be kind of wonky a little bit sometimes just to me, but most important thing to know is that this deck, the way it plays is it likes to go wide. It likes to pop a bunch of small guys out there like Tupper, who's I think next on my list, but it likes to play a lot of small guys out there, and ultimately this 10 cost that this guy has winds up becoming a 5 cost because unfortunately he still has to pay the specified 5 yellow energy cost. But when he does come out, he's quad strike, and then on top of that, he pops every single rest mode card that your opponent has from their energy or the battle area. So all that stuff gets popped. Does it say choose? Choose all, yeah. So I guess barrier would be able to avoid it, but nonetheless, we run 3 of those because you want to see it and you want to get it ASAP, especially when it comes towards like turn 5 or so, 4 or 5 in that area. I run a little bit of ramp in this deck, so you'll see that, but in that area, you want to start seeing this card, and you want to start having it in your hand ready for that explosive play of playing him. Again, you don't necessarily need him to finish, but you do want to see him, but you don't want to get clogged up. I mean, I guess it's not the biggest of deals. I guess you could just go ahead and charge from there, but nonetheless, again, that's the way that I like to run it. Feel free to adjust it if you like. We have 4 copies of Hero Combination Tupperware. So this guy is your turn 1 play. You play him, and then he allows you to go ahead and pull top 3 for any Universe 11 card in your deck. Allows you to pull that 3-drop Jiren, or that 3 of the 10-drop Jiren, you know, that we just were looking at a moment ago. He lets you pull 1 of them if you would like to. But ideally, you want to pull this card that we're showing up next. We have 4 copies of Ally of Justice Topo in the deck. The cool thing about Topo is that this card is the engine. He does everything that you want him to do. He's one of the best cards in the game, I would say, as far as like being able to spam the board. And when you play him, you pull top 10 if your leader is Universe 11. I believe so. Yes, if your leader is Universe 11, so you have to be in Jiren right now. But keep in mind, the thing about these special traits that these characters have now is in the future, right? In the future, there should be more Jiren-type leaders, assuming they're going to keep putting that Universe 11 trait on there. This type of card becomes more versatile and more valuable, right? So you pull top 10, and then from there after you pull top 10, you choose 2 of any Universe 11 characters from that batch of 10 with an energy cost of 3 or less. Play them on the board in rest mode. Now that combos very well with Jiren's other side when he's awakened. At the end of your turn, you get to untap 2 of your rested cards. That combos very well with that. I didn't really mention that, but that's just kind of what Jiren does. But also, going back to the leader, because I realized I didn't really talk about him a whole lot, the ability to untap, I'm not always a big fan of that, but for Jiren in this deck, just because you tap out easy, that's not a bad thing, especially because he draws anyway. A lot of times, I would want the draw 2 instead of that type of ability. But yeah, again, can't understate how valuable Topo is in this deck. He is the card that you want to see. If you start off with him, don't mulligan him. You want to hold him. Otherwise, you're going to be spending time with Tupper trying to dig for him. And trust me, if you don't have Topo, it sucks just because you can still play the deck. It's just that you're stalling to get Topo in a lot of cases, or you're going to play around that. Speaking of stalling, right, you don't have to necessarily stall when you get Hero Combination Kunshi. He's good for the ability to self-awaken. He pulls a card from your life and also taps a card from your opponent's board. That is really, really good. It allows you to go over some of those threats that your opponent would have. So very nice for board clearing and also self-awakening. He costs 2 energy. We run 4 of those because I didn't really see a reason not to. And I don't only run Universe 11 in this deck, but you want to run as much as you can for the searchability for Topo and Tupper and stuff like that. But A card that really combos well with Kunshi, who I think is one of the better cards from this set just in general, personally. But a card that combos very well is Secret Vitality Jiren. So this card right here, I got the one copy of a foil. He's awesome because, again, he actually is a card that can be played from Topo. And if you didn't notice, you can't go Topo, use his effect into another Topo. That's why they put the restrictions on him that they did. But this card combos well with that. When you play this card, if your leader is Universe 11, you place one yellow card from your hand in the drop area, then choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards that are in rest mode and KO them. So very good as a board clearer. I didn't realize how good this card was. Like, I was seriously considering not even including it in my deck, but 15k body can come out instantly, and he's really good. You know, he's one of the main staples for this deck. Helps keep that control. This is a very control-y deck, and it's very slow though. I will say it likes to try to build up, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But we do have 4 copies of Key Bomb Support Cocotte. She is the super combo. No, I mean, self-explanatory, right? And on top of that, we have 2 copies of Zoirei, Hero Combination Zoirei. He's a blocker. Nothing else really about him special other than the fact that if you have a Universe 11 character on the board, once per turn, he doesn't die. That's pretty much it. So he's got some sustainability. He also, again, gives you that valuable defense. Can also be played with Topo. So there's that. On top of that, we have 2 copies of Hero Combination Kitol. I was not exactly too fond of this card. When there's 2 other Universe 11 cards on the board, he gains 5k and double strike, so 20k double strike. That's pretty nice, especially, again, because he's a 3k. He has barrier as well, so you can go Topo into 2 of these, right? And you're set. You instantly went from maybe having just a couple of other smaller guys on the board, play Topo, and then you all of a sudden have 2 other double strike threats on the board. This is where Topo is incredibly good, right? Especially because Topo, just by the way, if you didn't know, Topo can go out into Kunshi if you would like to, which allows you to pull a life and help self-awaken. He can go out into Jiren, which I talked about a moment ago, which allows you to pop cards on the opponent's board that are in rest mode. He can go out into Cocotte. She is a super combo. You can super combo from the board. I don't know if a lot of people know that or not. So Topo has a lot of viability. He can go out into Zoirei if you need that defense, right? If you need the defense, maybe you're in a position where you need the defense, you don't have a negate in your hand, he can go out into Zoirei. If you want to play a bit more aggressively, he can go out into Kitol. You can see why Topo is a 4-of in this deck. It's very, very easy. So yeah, that card is good, but it's not crazy good though, I would say. There are a few more Universe 11 cards, just spoilers, that I don't run in the deck that I think could be good. But last Universe 11 card I think that I actually even could run in this deck is Swift Warrior Dispo. When you combo, you get to play him on the board when you combo with him. So very good, again, for being able to get that board presence and go wide. That's what this deck wants to do. It wants to get a bunch of these guys out there and kind of spam the board. It's just the deck, it needs probably about 5 or 6 turns to really get the board presence that it really wants. It just seems like it's kind of slow for the meta right now. But otherwise, I think it's pretty good. It was pretty competitive. I didn't even list my record. I got 3rd place in my locals this week. I think there was about 14 people or something like that. I lost 1 match against UI Goku, and he was using UI Goku in a Captain Ginyu deck. That deck was really fast. It was not a good matchup for this deck. Main disadvantage for this deck is that it does not want to be up against aggro or any deck that can be really explosive later on in the game, I guess. That's about it. It doesn't want to go against anybody that's super fast or that's equally as slow. It likes more of those mid-range decks. So, anyways, Crusher Ball, we ran 4 of these because combos very, very well with Jiren, the 3-drop Jiren. Also, it's very, very good for handling some of those threats that this deck doesn't like at all, like Overwhelm threats. Gosh, this deck doesn't like Overwhelm so much, but Crusher Ball can deal with those very, very well. It also doesn't like, again, aggro, so Crusher Ball handles that. So keep that in mind. Nothing else really to say there. Crusher Ball is quickly becoming one of the better staples in the game again. So on top of that, speaking of staples, we ran 3 Flying Nimbus. Now, I'm still debating between that and Cocotte Zone, which is this card right here, the negate from the Tournament of Power set. They have different viabilities. Flying Nimbus, I think, is fundamentally still the best negate in the game, but this other negate is really good for the ability to pop a card into rest mode. So keep that in mind. I do side the 4th Flying Nimbus. I just was playing with the idea of playing 3 instead because I do also have the Zoireis in there that could be played at any moment, basically. That's actually it for my yellow package. So I don't feature any other Universe 11 cards like Casserole or anything like that. I don't feature those cards because I didn't think they were super great. Still working on some of the ratios, but that's it. I also was considering running the new Master Roshi Forged of Will negate, the 1-drop monster negate, I guess. But that's it for the yellow package. Let's jump into the blue package. I played 4 energy boosted Majin Buu just because I did want the draw power. Initially, this was Youthful Bulma, but I wanted to mix in blue for untapped potential and a bit of ramp. That's why blue is in here. So all I need to do ideally is charge one card, and then all my blue stuff is active for the entire duel. And speaking of untap, I do run 2 Whis' Coercion as well, just for a little bit of untap again, because the deck can tap out easy when it's trying to play board, and this allows the deck to play a little bit more aggressively, a little bit more uphill, versus trying to wait and make sure that they're good, which is why I said initially the untap 2 is really good anyway, but more untap doesn't hurt. But speaking of untap, you know, we're going to play 4 Senzu Beans just because it's one of the best staples in the game. Really very unexplanatory. And again, all I need to do is charge 1 blue card, and all this stuff is active for the whole game. So last blue card, I have 2 objection, just a little bit of ramp. I want to bump this up to 3. I don't know what I want to do. I think the likely candidate would be Whis' Coercion, or maybe 1 Senzu Bean, but we'll see. And that's part of the reason why, like I said, I wanted to mix in more blue just so the deck can be a little bit faster, play a little bit ahead of the curve as well. And that's why I want to mix it up to 3. I think 3 would be a good value because that way I can charge 1 if I need to or whatever and get rid of it. But all in all, I'm very happy about this leader. I just feel like he doesn't do anything spectacular. And I feel that way about a lot of the leaders, honestly, from this set. They're not, like, crazy spectacular that puts them head and shoulders above a lot of what we already had. But nonetheless, I think there's a lot of potential for this type of deck, the Universe 11 deck. And I really wanted to make it work. Maybe, you know, a red combination instead of blue would be a little bit better. But as you can see, it also doesn't play any Overwhelm. I'm debating on siding in Overwhelm. Side was just Cocotte Zone, Flying Nimbus, more Katol, and the Ultimate Judgment Jocko. So that's about what I had. Hope you guys enjoy. Subscribe if you're new, of course, for more content. Have an awesome day, and I will catch you guys in the next Dragon Ball Super Card Game video. Have an awesome day, guys. Excuse me, and take it easy.